I'm Joe Halko, your host, and welcome to another episode of NCSS Here for You. Since 1958, Northwestern Counseling and Support Services has been providing access to high-quality services which promote healthy living and emotional well-being for the residents of Franklin and Grand Isle counties. Over the years, as the needs of the community have changed, so too have the programs and services that we make available to assist children, adolescents, adults, families, and seniors. We take our role in the community seriously and strive to provide a continuum of the highest quality services to meet the needs of individuals who at any point seek assistance with emotional and behavioral challenges, their mental health, substance use, or an intellectual or developmental disability. Some months we feature a discussion with community partners that we collaborate with throughout the year. On this episode, my guests represent the Vermont Department of Health, the United Way of Northwest Vermont, and the Rotary Club of St. Albans. This month, we'll be discussing the importance and benefits of volunteering and the upcoming second annual Franklin County Volunteering Fair. Volunteering is about building connections and making a difference in the community. Currently, the percentage of people that volunteer in Franklin County lags behind the rest of Vermont. However, there are numerous opportunities available throughout Franklin County for individuals to contribute their talents and make our community a better place. To discuss the importance and need for volunteers and the upcoming Franklin County Volunteering Fair, I'm pleased to introduce this month's guests. They are Erin Creley, Public Health Services District Director for the Vermont Department of Health, and Zoey Quigley, Community Engagement Coordinator, AmeriCorps VISTA for United Way of Northwest Vermont. Erin and Zoey, I'd like to welcome you to the program this month.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So, to get started, when we use the term volunteering, I don't think that people realize the vast array of opportunities that are available within our community. Can you explain that in more detail?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to. That's why we're here. We're so excited to talk about volunteering. I think we're really lucky in our community. We have so many opportunities. We'll get to talk about this. You'll hear this number a lot. We have 33 organizations that have already signed up to be at our volunteering fair this year. So that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to volunteering in our community. And we're hoping to see more this year as well. But our volunteer opportunities span from a one-time commitment. Maybe there's an event in Taylor Park that you want to be a part of, you can go and volunteer for that. Or maybe you want something that's ongoing, that you can commit to, that you can look forward to every week with the same group of volunteers. There's also that. If you want to get outside and do some work, build some houses, do some arranging. If you like to declutter, there might be some opportunities for you. If you like to drive, there's also opportunities for that. Lots of chances out there for folks.
Yeah, and so, as you mentioned, this spring is the second annual Franklin County Volunteering Fair, and it will be held. And who's responsible for organizing this event?
Yes, so for the second year in a row, it's going to be the Vermont Department of Health in the St. Albans local office, the Rotary Club of St. Albans, and the United Way of Northwestern Vermont are coming together because we all value and understand the importance of volunteering in their community. And this year, our location is Collins Purley Sporting Complex, and so that's another group that's really supporting us in this effort and committing time and energy.
Yeah, and that's a great venue to have this sort of event at. So, that being said, when is the volunteering fair? You've mentioned where it'll be held, but you can reiterate that. And also, who can attend?
Yeah, so the volunteering fair is going to be on Thursday, April 16th, and it's going to be at Collins Purley. We're going to be in the tennis court area, if you're familiar with Collins Purley. So it's down the longer hallway. It's not where hockey happens. So if you know where hockey happens, it's on the other side of Collins Purley. It's going to be from 3 to 6 p.m. So we're trying to aim it to hit the afternoon when folks might be done commuting or done with school and they can join us. And anyone can attend. You don't need to sign up ahead of time. Any age group, anybody can come.
Great, great. Now, what's new or different about this year's volunteering fair versus last year's?
So one of the big things is that we're at Collins Purley this year, and we're really excited for that. We loved being at St. Albans City Hall last year. Beautiful place, great place to start. One thing that we heard from folks is they wanted more parking for both the organizations with everything they're bringing, but then also the community to come out. So Collins Purley seemed like a natural fit for us, so we're excited to be at Collins Purley this year. We're also going to have food. We realized from 3 to 6, people start getting hungry, and we'll have some food there for folks to snack on so they can feel more relaxed and comfortable. And we're working on some really fun door prizes as well that we're looking forward to offering folks.
Yeah, that sounds great. And, you know, you're right. That time of day, food is never a bad thing for individuals that haven't had an opportunity to get home and eat. And, you know, the one thing I do want to say is, you know, last year you had it at City Hall, and that is a beautiful venue. You know, that is really a beautiful venue. And this area is very fortunate to have a city hall like that, and also to have a place like Collins Purley Sports and Fitness Center as well.
Yes. Yep.
For a variety of activities and events. So who are some of the organizations that attendees can expect to see when they show up at the volunteering fair?
Sure, I can start, but I'm sure Zoe will have some to add as well.
Yeah.
As you've heard, we have 33 organizations at this time, and we do have a visual that we're hopefully going to be able to share with only 32 of the organizations, because we had someone register just this morning after I had already made this. So I'm really excited for newer ones this year. We have Rural Community Transit. They're going to be there. They're new to our community as well, as far as meeting our transportation needs. The window dressers are going to be there to talk about how you can help homes weatherize. Bone Builders through the United Way is going to be there. Also Dragonheart, that fundraiser with the boats, is going to be there. And then some classic volunteer opportunities are also going to be there. So Northwestern Medical Center and their amazing volunteers will be there. Operation Happiness, if you really get into the holiday spirit, that's a great opportunity to get engaged with. Downtown St. Albans with St. Albans for the Future will be there as well for those events that you might want to participate in.
Yeah.
I think you covered you covered a lot of breadth there, Erin. A couple other organizations I can think of is NAMI Vermont. I was thinking, what is one of the main ways that people can volunteer? And I think that interaction and form of interaction through mentoring is a really great one, and one that we'll have a lot of representation with at the fair, and something that NAMI does. Also, rural community transportation was another one that it was a light bulb went off in my brain when I saw them sign up. So really glad to have them there, and grateful for the community driving program that they have, which I think is a really good sort of low stakes volunteer opportunity that is just as important as anything else. So yeah.
And with a lot that you've said of these various organizations, you really have hit on a real array of types of opportunities and businesses. And I would imagine where some would be a day a month, others might be weekly, some other ones, maybe they're camps, they're once a year. There's just so many different ways people can volunteer.
Absolutely. Yep.
I know for NCSS, one of the draws for people will be the Camp Rainbow, which I'm sure they'll be.
Very excited to have the folks from NCSS.
Engaging with at the fair as well. So what I'd like to do now is talk about your own personal experiences, and can you speak to your own experiences with volunteering and with the Vermont Department of Health and United Way of Northwest Vermont's tie-in to this whole event?
Sure. So if folks tuned in last year, we talked about this a little bit, but when I moved to Franklin County about 10 years ago, I knew that volunteering was going to be my way to get to know folks. And so I reached out to St. Albans Town and learned about the Planning Commission, and that was my first volunteer experience here. As I began my job with the Vermont Department of Health, I got to know lots of folks in Rotary and got to speak there at the Rotary meeting. One of the things that I really value about volunteering is the community aspect. I like getting to know my fellow volunteers and being connected to them. And Rotary is a great place for that. So you get that fellowship of other folks. And one of the things that I like about it, I think of it as a volunteer strike team, because there are sometimes organizations that reach out to Rotary and say, hey, could you help us set up for our quilting show? Or could you come out and help us organize this space at the Restore? That's so much fun for me. It gives me variety. It gets me to know other organizations. So I really value my time with Rotary as a volunteer. And with the Vermont Department of Health, we're really lucky because we get to work consistently with a great set of volunteers called the Medical Reserve Corps. And those folks are a mix of clinically trained folks and also lay people who are really committed to the health of our community. And they showed up in a big way during COVID. Folks probably remember seeing them in their yellow vests if you went to a vaccination event, but they're still in our community. They're still doing great work. They're getting prepared in case there's any other emergencies we face, but they also do foot clinics and they go to community events and provide first aid as well. So that's connected to my Vermont Department of Health work, and I'm really proud of the work they do.
Yeah,
That's awesome to hear, Erin. Yeah, the main volunteer experience that I've had, or the formative one particularly, was my experience with volunteering for Community Harvest of Central Vermont in Montpelier when I was living there at the time. And what I mostly did there was I gleaned surplus produce from farmers' fields and then would go on and package it and process that, and it would eventually go out to food shelves, to senior centers, and to local community meal services. And I can't emphasize enough how that was such an invaluable experience, and much of it like learning experience. You know, I do feel I came out of that with a preparedness for, you know, maybe something professional or to be able to work in a team setting in that way. But my biggest takeaway, I would say, was that I learned a whole lot just about other people in my community, in the local food system, and in the power that people have to make solutions from the ground up. Was just so inspiring to me. And I'll add that I did all of this pretty sporadically because the volunteer opportunity allowed for it. You know, so I would go in when I could, when there was a call, or in this case, you know, an email in my inbox that says, hey, come and scour this field for these leafy greens. You know, I would respond when I could show up, but that was more than enough for me, and it felt like a gift back. So that's the one I would highlight the most for myself. And then in terms of United Way of Northwest Vermont's role, it's always a tricky one to explain, but United Way sits at this very unique intersection between the for-profit, nonprofit, government, and community. And the idea, I think, that underscores the work we do is that we want to strengthen Northwest Vermont. And volunteers are really posed to do this and important in this work. They're the connection and the tether and on the ground doing things and providing capacity for organizations and making sure it happens and driving that change forward. So, yes.
Yeah, great examples. And, you know, with all of these examples, the bottom line is making a difference. You know, you're making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, Joe, one thing I was thinking of as Zoe were talking, especially your example of the gleaning, what a great experience to have, to be able to drop in and do that as you're able. And, one of the things that I'm looking forward to with the volunteering fair is what other opportunities can folks get connected to that might be an open door to a new career for them, or might get them, maybe a little bit of the physical activity that they're hoping to get.
Totally.
Yeah, like it can mean a lot of different things and get that exposure. And I just got to say, too, when I think of United Way, I think of volunteering. I think that they're just so connected to the community and do such a great job connecting folks to volunteer opportunities.
Well, I'm glad to hear you feel that way.
Yeah.
And I hope that it is making a difference out in the community. And yeah, I think that volunteering can take so many shapes and forms, like you were describing, Joe, and that what we want to do is make volunteering just feel much more approachable. And I think that's my biggest hope for the fair, and something that I think it was able to deliver last year, and something that United Way does is we want to have those options there for people, more convenient to access, because people don't have a lot of time on their hands and want to make the most of the time that they do have. So,
yeah.
Something else that I don't think it's mentioned enough about all this with volunteering, and it's fun. I mean, you feel, we'll talk about benefits that in a moment, but the fact of the matter is you're working with other individuals, volunteering with other individuals, you get to know them, you have lots of laughs, and yet that you're doing something that hopefully is going to help someone else, which is a good feeling. So that's the other thing that can never be can't be understated enough, which is, or overstated enough, which is the fun aspect of it as well.
Definitely.
So people of any age can make a difference by volunteering, from high school students through adult years and retired folks as well. Can you share some examples that can lead the viewer through to show that, boy, everybody from a high school student on up can make a difference as a volunteer?
Sure. I just want to start by saying we've asked our volunteer organizations who have registered if they are looking for certain demographics of volunteers. And so I know already that we have at least 14 organizations that are specifically looking for high school aged volunteers. So if you know any high schoolers who need to get a certain amount of volunteer hours before the end of the year, before they graduate, we have 14 organizations that are looking for them, that want to engage with them. We also have 6 organizations that are looking for volunteers that are little kids who may come with a parent or a guardian. So that's also a place where families can get engaged in volunteering together. And we'll have signage and connect people with those organizations once they're at the volunteer fair. And 17 organizations are also specifically looking for folks that are seniors who have the time to give and are looking for ways to give back. So we have dozens of organizations that are really looking for you at whatever age you're at. And I think one of the things that I'll add for high school students is we know that looking for something that might be a one-time volunteer opportunity or a short-term one may be important, because you've got a lot of things on your plate as a high schooler, especially one looking to graduate at that end of the year. So I think I would encourage high school students to definitely reach out to the organizations that have short-term volunteer opportunities. But of course, if you want to commit to a long-term opportunity, we've got that for you as well.
I mean, just to add on to what you said there, yes, there are really so many different kinds. And as far as youth volunteering goes, there are even ways to plug in with other youth members. Again, what is coming to mind currently is serving as a mentor, but it could also be, I think you'd have to be 16 and older, but it could be something with Green Mountain Habitat for Humanity. Yeah. You could even get on one of their build sites, permitting your folks are okay with that, I suppose. But yeah, there are really so many options. And I mean, I think it's a great way to explore paths too. Yep. Test out paths, maybe get a break in enter a new setting, that
Yeah.
you're not used to. Break out of just your school routine. I think the same for someone who's middle-aged, to break out of that routine and see some new things, experience new things. For seniors, I know Bone Builders is still looking for volunteers as we continue to rapidly grow. Many locations that had started out with one class are now hosting 2 in the same day. And so it's just, the numbers have gone up massively, which I think really speaks to the social connectivity piece that it offers. But those volunteers seem to have a lot of fun. They seem to have a lot of fun with the participants. They consider the participants their friends. And you're essentially, just leading some strength training. You're moving some weights around and doing some silly postures.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's great for eliminating isolation for a lot of seniors as well, from that standpoint.
Yes.
So we talk a great deal about how volunteers are important to the sustainability of many organizations, but equally as important are the benefits to the volunteers themselves of engaging in this practice. So what are some of the benefits of volunteering to the individual that's providing those volunteer hours?
Joe, you hit on one of them just now, the isolation piece of it. Certainly in public health, we think about the impacts of isolation and loneliness in the community. Volunteering, again, if you're new to town, getting connected to your neighbors can be daunting, especially if you live maybe a quarter mile away from your next neighbor.
Sure.
Volunteering is a way to get to know your community and be out and about. But as you mentioned earlier, it's also fun. It breaks you out of your routine. It gets you doing something different. Maybe your everyday job is something more tied to a desk. But by volunteering, you could be building a house on a weekend, or you could be, as I said, you could be going to the restore and decluttering things.
Sure.
So if that's something that you like to do, it just breaks you out of your routine. There's opportunities to do kind of solo volunteering for organizations. I know that the Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge has opportunities. If you like to mow lawns, they have got some walkways that need mowing, and they are looking for volunteers that would be willing to get out there on a sunny day, ride the lawnmower, and clear those paths so folks can enjoy that and recreate. Yeah. So it gets you closer to nature. It gets you connected to the land that we all really value in our community. So from a fun perspective, maybe your sense of fun isn't mowing the lawns, but maybe it is, like I mentioned earlier, with my time in Rotary, I like getting to know the other Rotarians and having that little community of folks that I can work with. So the fun aspect and just that sense of a job well done. You can leave the day as a volunteer with a sense of completion and accomplishment, which, that feels great.
Yeah. Yeah.
You covered so much of that I would have said the reducing isolation piece is very important. The making new friends, or maybe that friend is, I'm thinking about some of the refuges or the Missisquoi Refuge, and maybe your friend is a bird that you meet on a trail. So it doesn't have to be all super, group oriented, or, it could be more focusing in on an activity, or applying your talents or sort of accrued experience in life. You could serve on a board is always something that organizations, not always, but a good deal of organizations are looking for. And you can, provide that padding and sort of maybe it's administrative support or support that an organization might not have unless you step in. And I also think that we see so many increasing needs in our communities, and this is a way to feel like you're able to do something about it, and have some sense of control, of agency in all of this, and that you're able to sort of civically engage on a local level, which is something that Vermont seems to do pretty well at. So whether that's like a public session or being on some form of council, I could go on, but
No, that you're right. It's the whole diverse nature of volunteering. So we've talked a bit about, depending on people's interests and their available times and talents and what have you, the ways that they can make a difference. The United Way of Northwest Vermont keeps people connected through their to volunteering opportunities throughout the year. So Zoey, if you can explain how people can access this information.
Sure. Yes. So we have our Volunteer Connection website and then a Volunteer Connection newsletter. And our Volunteer Connection site is essentially a tool, a one-stop shop for volunteer opportunities that we have now around, the graphic is going to say one thing, but now around 100 nonprofits in the area using. And so you can look at the list on there and it'll be the most current need that they're looking for. And the level of time commitment can also range, but you're then able to just follow up on that easily and also click and see what that nonprofit's mission is and what their general work is, and probably link you to their other presence out there, like their website or their social media. So it's a really good way to just see that quick snapshot of where you might volunteer. Mm-hmm. And then the newsletter is a bi-weekly, every 2 weeks release that anyone can sign up for. We have a bunch of community members, but also, news outlets and business partners that like to receive those updates. And it's a very short list. It's like 4 to 5 opportunities, which just, keeps it simple. It's just that, and then you can choose from there, and it will highlight what is, again, like most urgent or most timely. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, second annual Franklin County Volunteering Fair. When is it again, and where is it, and what's the times?
Yes, it is on Thursday, April 16th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Collins Pearly Complex in St. Albans. If you are an organization that wants to register for a table, registration deadline is Friday, April 3rd.
Okay, sounds great. So I want to wish both of you all the best with the volunteering fair. It's going to be amazing. I think the organizations that are involved in putting this on are all terrific. And from the Vermont Department of Health through the Rotary Club of St. Albans and the United Way of Northwest Vermont. And again, I think it shows in our community how the collaboration of various organizations can make the community a stronger place.
Yes.
So with that, I want to thank my guests, Erin Creley and Zoey Quigley, for sharing their insights on the need and benefits of volunteering and the upcoming Franklin County Volunteering Fair. Remember, volunteering is about building connections and making a difference. I also want to thank our viewers and listeners for spending time with us again this month. You can learn more about all of our programs and services by logging on to ncssinc.org. I'm Joe Halko, and I'll be back next month with another episode of NCSS Here for You.